So for those of you who came in a little late, I'd like to just reintroduce myself. I'm Reverend Marcia MacLean. I am Spiritual Director of the Center for Spiritual Living, Palm Beaches, which is where we are right now. In this moment, that's what this is. And my co-founder, Rick Brugger, is also a licensed practitioner of Science of Mind. That makes two of us. And this is our 9th week as a real thing. It's been an idea in the mind of God for a very long time, and here we are. So excited. So, I'm going to have a drink of water, and then I'm going to tell you a little something, okay? I committed on the 10th of last month to my talk title for today because I wanted to publish it in Natural Awakenings. And a funny thing happens on the way to this forum. A lot of ministers wake up and say, I don't want to talk about that. Actually, it wasn't this morning. But sometime this week, coming out of meditation and prayer, there was one word, and that word was ask. And I think I remember, not last week, but the week before, saying, welcome to November, and I listed 4 different ways we were going to talk about gratitude all month. And if you've ever been to any of those groups or meetings where they focus on gratitude all month, you're like, okay, what else can I say? So, of course, my original title for today, which was Invest in Appreciation, is a very important point. And next week, we are going to be basking in gratitude during the week of Thanksgiving, and it will have its due there. But I want to talk to you about this thing called ask. Very interesting that what we normally equate with this concept of asking is limiting. Very interesting that what we normally equate with this idea of desiring something is limiting, often shameful at best. And also very interesting how we have come to see ourselves and our relationship to all that is in a limiting way. And so what I propose is that we re-examine what it means to ask. We re-examine what it means to interpret and act upon desire. And we re-examine what it means to be who we are in this world. Because each of those ideas has taken on limiting concepts, not surprisingly, since in early life, in childhood. Now, some of us have raised children and grandchildren who have a better outlook. Yay. And others of us have invested in a great deal of study and perhaps even therapy, yes, to overcome some of those limiting beliefs. Here at this Center for Spiritual Living, we are trained in something called the Science of Mind and Spirit, previously referred to as religious science. And now rebranded in 2012, actually in 2010, I think that took place, Centers for Spiritual Living. We're still the same, we just put a different package on the outside. We teach a lot about reinterpreting what it means to ask. We teach a lot about what it means truly to desire, and we teach a lot about who we truly are and this world in which we live. We have a saying around here that the universe always says yes. So recently, of course, over the past, 6 years or so, because of The Secret and What the Bleep Do We Know, everybody's finding out about the law of attraction, and thanks a great deal to the Abraham material, which has been around for quite some time. We teach at Centers for Spiritual Living that same thing. And a couple weeks ago, I talked about Thomas Troward. I talked about this regional judge in Punjab, India, who retired back to England and did most of his writing and speaking at that time. He was teaching on the law of attraction. We're part of this movement called the New Thought Movement, which, by the way, began to really take hold at the turn of the last century, not the most recent one that we all just went through 12 years ago together. So all of this is based on something called New Thought / Ancient Wisdom. And we have the benefit of quantum physics, we have the benefit of new science to confirm what mystics and what masters and teachers of old have already said. This is an extraordinary time to be alive and to be awake and aware and around. And what I want to talk with you today about is specifically about reinterpreting what it means to ask, reinterpreting what it means to desire, and making sure we all know who we truly are in the world in which we live. You know, there's this circle, this cycle of giving and receiving. And we go, many of us read a lot of books and go to classes on how to manifest and how to prosper and how to have more of the things that we desire. And many of us have not yet mastered the art of receiving. Because it's so noble to give, but we're not so sure about receiving. Well, the truth is it's noble and vital to do both. Imagine this, that if you don't learn how to receive, you can't give, and you can't be part of the big, noble cycle of giving. They go hand in hand. They're part of something greater. It is a circulation system for life itself and all of the forms that it takes. So learning to ask is really important. In the past, when we asked, it's possible that we have asked from a place of, well, I don't know if it's going to work out this time. And I do mean after you've passed the phase of a child who believes in anything and hasn't learned about any limitation yet. As a matter of fact, what I'm suggesting is that we learn to return to that limitless asking and imagining that we used to do before we heard something different. So asking. Can we imagine that when we ask, we are opening to receive? Yeah, that's easy. Can we imagine that when we ask, we're actually saying yes? That's a little bit of a leap. Can you imagine that asking for something is actually saying yes to it? Think about that. You're using your word. You're speaking your word. You're opening yourself up. You're saying, I want that. In that moment, if you believe yourself, you are opening to receive, and you're really saying yes. Well, here's something that helps make it even clearer. I love this. There's a book that was written by Raymond Holywell called Working with the Law. And I remember I toted it with me to the dentist one day. And she said, oh, are you studying to be an attorney? No, I don't remember how many chapters are in there, but each is a breakdown, a subset of the law of cause and effect. And this was about desire, and I just heard angels sing when I read this. It says, you cannot desire a thing unless and until it is within your reach. I'm going to say that again. You cannot desire a thing unless and until it is within your reach. And do you know why that is? Because you would have to have something within you that was equal to it in order to be able to even identify that you desire it. Okay? Thomas Troward, our friend Thomas Troward, the guy from India, calls that a mental equivalent. The very fact that you desire a thing is an indication that you are able to recognize it. The very fact that you are able to recognize it means that you're ready to line up with it. You're ready to ask for it. You're ready to say yes to it. You have a place within you. You've got room for it in you and your life, in your consciousness, in your vocabulary. Okay? So desire takes on a whole new meaning. I don't know about you, but some of us, including myself, learned that when a desire emerged, The thing to do was to say, oh, here we go again. You know, I'm going to get all excited, and I'm going to think, oh, I'm going to have this job, this relationship, this thing. I'm going to do this cool thing. How many of us thought about writing a book or a song or whatever that is, doing something? And then maybe that limiting habit just kind of crept in until eventually you talked yourself out of it. That's not the truth of who we are. That's learned doubt. That's learned limitation. That's something else. There's room for me over here now because I don't have a drummer behind me. Woohoo! So I get the good spot. So think about it. I've already suggested that asking is actually saying yes, which is different, right? Yes means yes. There's no distance between me and that thing. I said yes and I got it. If we can see asking that way, then we can see that we're saying yes. And that's big. That's different from someday, right? Okay, so in reinterpreting desire now, we say, well, desire heralds the arrival of the perfect circumstances, alignment and openness within me and the whole cast of characters. All situations and circumstances, all elements required for the fulfillment of this thing are also present in that moment. That's what that promise is. So when we desire a thing, instead of saying, oh no, I might as well just give up before I start, then I won't fall, I won't be disappointed, I'll just forget it, I'll play it safe. We say, oh yes, oh yes. Now I know that when I desire a thing, it is possible, it is imminent, everything's lined up, all I have to do is say yes and ask. So here's what makes sense of all of that. We are powerful, creative, spiritual beings living in an affirmative, responsive universe. There are not two powers, there's one. There's not good and bad. There's not a capricious God, as Ernest Holmes, our founder, would say, sitting up there on a cloud saying, I don't think so. There isn't a moody creator saying, you don't deserve it. There isn't one that says, listen, hold all my calls. There's one power, one presence, one substance, one activity. It is affirmative. It only moves in that direction. It only says yes. So that is the code for using it. We are made out of it in its image and in its likeness, out of itself. As a wave is to the ocean, so are we to spirit. And here's another kicker. We're free. We have free will. Again, our founder, Ernest Holmes, and I want to keep sharing about him for people who are just discovering who we are and what we're about. He said, if Spirit, Creator, the Absolute, the All That Is, God, whatever you want to call that, made every decision for us, we wouldn't be free. We would be automatons. So everything has been provided. The gifts have been given. Infinite possibility already exists. Every potential imaginable and all of the ones we can't even grasp already exist. And, not but, and we are free to choose, to turn towards them or away from them, to elect to experience them or safeguard ourselves from the unknown, from the risky, from the I haven't seen it yet, I haven't done it yet, and live a life of limitation. We get to choose. This is a big gift, a lot of responsibility, and rewards beyond our imagining. So that's who we really are, and that's the universe in which we really live. Interesting thing about this infinite potential, one of our modern scientists who goes out and does all the research and all the homework, writes the books, and makes it easy for us to understand, is Greg Braden. He had a team of about 12 scientists who spent a very long time looking at what they referred to as the God Code. And the outcome of all of that work was that every cell in all of creation has a singular message within it. God eternal within the body. God eternal within the body. And the other thing is that we have, of course, strands of DNA, and we have all of our genes, all of our genetic potentialities there. And every genetic potentiality requires the stimulation from the environment in order to express its potential. Stay with me for a minute. Okay. So we've got all this potential, God eternal within the body. Infinite potential. And the way that it is triggered is by environmental stimuli. And the way that it is expressed is by being triggered. Can you imagine? Because Great Braden helped us to understand that. It's not just environmental as in how cold or warm is the air, how much water or nutrition do I have? It's more than that. It's emotion. It's thought. It's vibration. And I've been trying to read Bruce Lipton on my own. It's better for me to go listen to him. He does the biology of belief. But just imagine if spirit is infinite potential and we are made in its image and likeness, and someone says, by the way, every cell in all of creation says God eternal within the body, and every potential within each human being or every being that has genes is expressed when it's invited. It's expressed when it's triggered. What if the invitation is desire? What if the trigger is asking? That's my question to you today. What if you get inspired, and that gives rise to the desire, which gives rise to the big ask, and now that you know that you are a co-participant in a loving, responsive universe which always says yes, would you ask? Would you see desire differently? Do you think perhaps we would shorten the road between a dream and a reality? Would we do away with someday? Would we trust more? Would we stop asking how is it all going to turn out and worrying about whether we can do it or not? And relax our shoulders and realize, yes, we can. Because we're part of something greater that loves us so much. It gives us an idea that we think is our own. It bubbles up from our subconscious and we say, oh, that's great. I think I'll go for that. That's Thomas Troward again. Then we set the creative process in motion and boom, we have that thing. Rather than envying those who seem to be able to do that, if you're one of those who struggled with that, guess what? Today you just learned how to eliminate the long and winding road. Today you just learned how to make that path straight, clear, and easy. And let something called the law of cause and effect, the positive, affirmative, responsiveness, corresponding nature of the universe of life itself do the work for you. Just let love point the way. I'm going to invite you to just take this into prayer with me for a moment. We'll close this with an opportunity for you to ask. So if you close your eyes. I speak my word, knowing that Spirit is infinite, and that it has indeed made everything out of itself. There is nothing else. I speak my word recognizing that each of us here is one with that power. Therefore one with all that it is, all that it has, all that it offers, all that it awaits our discovery. I speak my word recognizing then that because this is so, our every inspiration, our every desire, our every yes is really Spirit saying yes to itself. It is really that which created us saying yes to itself. And in our willingness to open to receive, to have our yes meet with the yes of all life, we can have everything. We can experience infinite possibility as our own. And because we are free, we get to choose. And so in this moment, I invite you silently just to say those one or two words that represent what you're ready to claim right now. And what I know is that each time we pray believing, each time I speak my word, I make room for that thing as my experience. So I speak my word for this group and this Center for Spiritual Living Palm Beaches, knowing that each of those asks is a yes, met with a yes. The outcome is assured. The gift is given. And in gratitude for that, as we open our eyes, we simply release this prayer and say together, and so it is.